Hello, welcome to Nigeria Now on Echo Television International. We'll be looking at some of the matters that are actually reoccurring and actually coming up in the nation, looking at politics and also looking at some of the policies that the government have actually set aside. I am Salah Shadasham and I'm doing the program with Rachel Tansey. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Sarah.
All right, our viewers that are watching us live, remember you can join us on Facebook and on YouTube as well, and then you can also drop your comment and your views on some of the issues we shall be bringing on the table this afternoon. And we'd love to start with the National Judicial Council. They have given their approval for 11 justices that will be joining the Supreme Court bench. And right now they are waiting for the approval coming from the president and also looking at the Senate also swearing in some of these justices. And Rachel, you remember there were about 22 names
Yes.
that were actually being, when I say screened, that were being brought before. We had a number of those justices that were being brought, and then we're seeing finally yesterday during their meeting, I think their 140th meeting, they actually set aside these 11 names. That is to say that these people have actually qualified, they have passed every test that is expected of them. So right now is just to submit a name to the president, waiting for the president's approval, and then we're also waiting for the Senate to actually possibly maybe do one or two things to actually check and inaugurate them. And then definitely they'll be needing the nod coming from the state House of Assembly, the governors of the various states where these justices are coming from in the various appeal court and all of that. But you remember, Rachel, when we saw some of the criteria, a lot of lawyers have said that this lawyer should be based on merit. It shouldn't be based on emotions. It shouldn't be based on nepotism. It shouldn't be based on who you know. It should rather be based on people who are actually transparent, because we know that over the years, especially looking at the time of the election for the 2023, a lot of Nigerians have felt that right now the judiciary, they do not have confidence in them any longer. We saw where a lot of can of worms was being opened on the judiciary. It seems as if that place right now has been bought, and then a lot of people feel that the judiciary have forgotten that they are another arm of the government. Therefore, they should be independent in whatever ruling they will give. So right now, we're having this 11 at the eyes of the entire world. The eyes of Nigerians are actually on this 11 persons that will be, finally being screened, and then finally receive the nod coming from the president.
I mean, Sarah, the number one responsibility that these 11 justices have is to restore the faith of Nigerians on the judiciary. Because whether we like it or not, 2023 was a test to the judiciary, to their competence, to what they stand for, to their power, and what they can do. It's quite unfortunate that the elections drove us into such a dilemma where we have to depend on the judiciary system to be able to decide who rules us, whereas it shouldn't be like that. We should have them on other national things that are more serious than election, that there's already a body in charge of making sure the people's voices are being heard. However, I believe that this is their job, and it's too early for us to know, Sele, whether they were unmarried or it's no nepotism or there wasn't politics in play. Where we will start knowing is the outcome of what is coming out from the Supreme Court. Are we going to see a Supreme Court that keeps bending their neck and tilting wherever the wind blows? Or are we going to see a judiciary that will give us verdicts, that will give us results, that will rule, and the people will shout for joy? Let me put it like that. Because in the end, we trust the NJC that they've done their best, that this committee, have screened these justices and they know they're competent, they have the merit. For sure, Sele, when you look at the background of all of these justices, they do have the merit. They do, yes, they have been good at their various state levels, and for sure, they will be good even at the Supreme Court level. Now, where we want to see them restoring the faith of Nigerians is that the remaining petition cases we have. Are we going to see the judiciary doing what the Supreme Court rather, doing what the appeal court did? Or are we going to see a new redefinement, if there's a word like that, Sele, of the law and the rules in this country? That is when we will start seeing if these people truly deserve to be the justices at the Supreme Court level and at the Supreme Court bench. But we'll just wait. We have our hopes high. Of course we do, because everybody's fate now is just in the judiciary of Nigeria. But then, just as I said, it's too early. But then we know that if it is for merit, if it is for past record, these justices have tried at the appeal court level, and then we will just wait to see what they will deliver to Nigerians now that they are at a higher level.
Well, we are hoping that right now the Supreme Court will not have any complaint again, because we're complaining of the number, and so right now they will be up to the standard of the wall. About 21 justices are actually there right now, so we'll be saying that they will actually have able time, or they'll be able to have equivalent time to be able to handle some of these cases. And just like we said, it's too early to know whether they can actually, whether they will not be bought or whatsoever. But then we are hoping that they will actually do what is expected, and that they will restore the hope of Nigerians to the judicial system. Now, looking at the issue, since we started talking about election and all of that, we remember on the 11th of November, there was an election in Kogi, in Imo, and also in Bayelsa. And then we remember that out of Kogi, at a point in time, there were local government, about 59 units, that the election really did hold up because of one or two things. So INEC was meant to conduct a fresh election on the 18th of November. Now we're saying that we will record that the PDP gubernatorial candidate, Dino Milai, said he is not going to appeal anything about this, because as far as it's concerned, no election held in Kogi State. The INEC just did what they wanted to do. They appointed, because we are aware that the APC gubernatorial candidate actually had the highest vote over there, followed by the SDP and then the PDP. And then, of course, the PDP felt that, I mean, that is an eyesore to him, because the INEC deliberately did that, because just to make him third, and then to use an inferior party, a minority, to actually put second. But here we're saying that on, will I say, on his way, or however the story is, election petition documents were stolen, and a lot of people are questioning that story whatsoever. What really is the problem? Because number one, we know that if any party is not satisfied with the outcome of the election, you have about 21 days to file your petition. And we're seeing that if you're going to count from the day INEC actually renounced the result down to date, over 21 days already. So now questions are, why was this document still in the possession of the officer? Because according to David Mark, he was actually on his way when he was being ambushed by some unknown gunmen. And I despise that word so much, Rachel, because I just feel that this is more of playing politics again. Because why in possession of that? Why was it collected from you? Where did you keep the document? These are things that are supposed to be safe. And the location where you said you were attacked was right in front of the CBN bank, somewhere around the CBN bank. So a lot of questions Nigerians are asking: who was trying to protect his face, and why was that document stolen in the first place? We saw about 2 documents, and then some of the possession of some of his personal possessions as well was being collected. And then we've seen that because of security reasons, we saw it this morning in our morning show, where the petition has been shifted to Abuja because of security cases. Now, a lot of things, a lot of questions that need the right answers, Rachel, at this point in time. How comes? It was before you will hear that, I mean, ballot papers were being collected and all of that. But then right now it has gotten to the point that even petition documents.
Well, of course, because petition documents are now more important than ballot papers. So it's not surprising to see that happening. I mean, in Kogi State, we've seen a number of such attacks on electoral personnel and all of that, where even the wreck of Kogi State, whose residence was attacked by gunmen and all of that. And obviously, everything around this says this is a sponsored crime. Of course, if truly what happened, then it is a sponsored crime. Is the story questionable? Yes. However, could it have happened? Yes, it could have happened. He said he had other 2 colleagues with him. They were witnesses. They jacked him out of his car and all of that. Now, those could also be accomplices, like whoever were with him could be accomplice to what was happening. Were they truly unknown gunmen that attacked him? And then, when that is what gives room for investigation, Sele, now it's left for everybody to investigate. The police, the civil defense, everybody that needs to go to the root of this situation should investigate. That is when questions should be asked, because it wasn't what we call it wasn't an isolated area where it happened. So are there witnesses? Are there people who saw maybe gunmen driving off speedily? Are there one or two people that could say, okay, there was something that happened at this particular time, yes, in this area that looked like something was wrong? There need to be eyewitness, be it from afar, be it directly. But as long as that area wasn't isolated, investigation needs to be done. And then, just as you said, Sele, why are you with such sensitive materials? That is the number one thing. It's okay because, yes, sometimes we have people moving with these sensitive materials and all of that.
Have security operatives with
yes, you. These are exactly. These are documents filed by parties like the APP and the SDP
and the PRP.
Yes,
well.
and the
About
PRP.
4 political
yes,
parties.
4 political parties. So it is sensitive. And with the way things have been unfolding in the country, you know that the time for ballot papers have finished now. These are the ballot papers. These are the sensitive things that people will be out for it if they know. We saw how Fire got a section of the appeal court in Abuja when we were having, of the Supreme Court rather in Abuja, when we were having election petitions. Exactly.
Affected.
Imagine maybe the person's aim was to target where election petitions were, but didn't succeed because out of nowhere, why fire incidents during a period of court cases, and this is the same thing now. So why are you not fully guarded? Why are you not having security personnel with you to say that even if it gets so bad, you had security, you did the needful, you were not just going on your own. You know that there's information that these materials are with you. So why would you think that you are safe to freely transport these materials to where you want to take them or not? I believe that this is where there was some carelessness and some laxity from the side of this person who should have protected these materials by all means, because whether we like it or not, these are document lost. And how are these parties going to go about it and stand? This could include some evidence that could be very tangible in the court and could probably make the outcome of the elections in Kogi State a different thing. But now until you can recover it, and of course when the investigation is going on, you investigate every other party who would have wanted this. Where is it coming from? These armed men, how and where did they get to this position? It's a lot of work, but I just hope that the government in Kogi and the security agencies are willing to put in the work so that these people will be called to book.
Because at this point in time, Richard, everybody's a suspect,
including
the people who are actually taking those documents. Because just like you said, and you see, this calls for us actually advancing in the way we do things. Imagine if these documents were digital. I mean, who will have possession to papers? We're still working around with paper. You just send it straight to the court. Make sure it's saved in the cloud, and then nothing whatsoever affects such thing whatsoever. So I'm just hoping that this document, there's actually a backup, because you cannot go back to tell this political party that, sorry, whatever petition you have, we've lost it. So what are you expecting them to just accept the outcome of the election without fighting? In a place, it has never happened in Nigeria. For every election, somebody must have a question why it didn't go the way he or she wanted. So I think us to be crossed. We just hope that Kogi government will do their job, the police will do their job, and we hope that everybody will be investigated. Just like I said, everybody's a suspect at this point in time. So let us round up the show by looking at revisiting again the 2024 budget. We know allocations were given to various sectors. Today in the morning show, we also saw that of the police ministry, how much was given to them. And we would love to look at the allocation being given to pension and retirees. We've seen that the federal government actually cut down the pension and retirees money by 21%. Initially, the money was roughly about 854.81 billion naira. That was in 2023 budget. And then for 2024 budget, we're seeing it going to 673.01 billion naira. And that is part of the budget proposal, we remember, that we submitted to Senate. And questions would be, why would the government feel that they could actually cut down this proposal or the budget for the pension and gratuity and also whatever the pensioners actually deserve. We will remember that we've seen stories where pensioners were slumming down. A lot of things have not been going well. Their welfare, they are not well taken care of. And here, when we are looking at an added maybe budget for them, we're seeing that the federal government slash it, not only by 5%, not by 10%, but by 21%, which I think that the federal government own these pensioners
They do,
an
sir.
explanation why they will decide to cut down their own allocation by 21% and increasing other people's budget or allocations.
I mean, Celia, what's the rationale behind this cut? 800 billion was not able to cover the whole pension scheme, gratuity, retirement arrears, and all of that. And what in the world would our lawmakers think that 600 billion will do? I mean, what was the thought behind that? Because it doesn't make sense to me. And we can't scrutinize the budget without looking at the current value of our currency.
Very true.
If, as at 2023, where we are now, 800 billion couldn't reach our pensioners, we saw them dying, we saw them going through so much. The last time something tangible came was in March. That was 14 billion. You know, it
That
keeps
was like
coming.
2022.
That was last year. You understand? That was when it came out, meaning it did not, whatever was budgeted for pension did not cover even 10% of what was needed to actually cover the amount. We keep having callers on our morning shows telling us of how a pension that should supposed to come to them of over 100,000, they're getting barely 15,000. So now imagine, Celia, maybe they'll get 5,000 this time around.
That is if they even see 5,000.
That's if they see it. So just, we can do the maths and it's out there. But you see, that's not what bothers me. Is when I see the expenses by the presidency not cutting down the cost of governance, personnel cost. We are having, just for local and international trips, the presidency is going to spend over 10 billion naira, and we are comfortable with that. So that in the breakdown of the budget for Aso Villa, for example, there's money for the animals in Aso Villa, and that's over 200 million naira.
So that is to say we value animals more
We
than
value
human
them
beings.
more than our pensioners. And okay, I saw electricity cost of 260 million naira, and I was like, oh, maybe it's plus generators. No, generators also have their over 37 million.
Naira as well.
Is cost differently. When you start seeing this breakdown of these expenses, that, I mean, why is there no solar panels in the Aso Villa? Why is there no sustainable energy that we will be able to cut down this cost? Because sustainable energy is expensive if an individual wants to purchase it, but not for the Nigerian government.
Not for the government.
So if we can have sustainable energy, or rather renewable energy, such as solar panels, we don't need generators in the Aso Villa. And even if we do, it won't be costing 37 million.
Of course not.
And we won't see 260 million for electricity bills. I mean, are they drinking the electricity there? And then you just keep seeing this breakdown, and they will give you an excuse that is due to inflation. That
so
is
the
due
pensioners
to
are not going through.
Are they not going through inflation also? I mean, are they in a different Nigeria? These are the people that need this money the most. However, we are seeing a government that is not willing to cut down their own cost of running their affairs to be able to sponsor things for nation building and nation growth. Imagine how much we spend for 422 officials for the COP28, and I believe they downplayed the number. It's way more than that.
Of course.
What are we doing with such delegates? Billions of naira in just flight ticket. I mean, hundreds of millions for just ticket, apart from accommodation and other allowances that you must give these delegates and whatsoever. And we are here seeing that, you know what, come 2024, we are going to have more pensioners slumming. We are going to have more retirees not seeing their gratuities, and it's really sad. And I mean, these are some of the things that you just wonder, when will our leaders start being selfless, and when will we start getting it right? Because it doesn't look like we're heading towards that direction anytime soon.
You know, a lot of people have argued that the leaders we have is a reflection of who we are, because we elected those people to be in the seat. And just like you rightly mentioned, some very relevant example looking at the expenses of our presidency, reckless and spending of some of our governors, and then you can't help but imagine, are we trying to put other things top priority, just like you gave example that of the animals in Asovida. This is in fact a clear picture of this, is just to say that the animals are more valuable than our pensioners. And Rachel, every month more people are going to get retired.
Yes.
The painful part of this part is the fact that these pensioners actually, this money was taken out of their salary. So it's not as if the government is dashing them money somewhere different.
It's not 100
part
from
of
the government.
Yeah, part of the money is from their own pensions, from their salary that they save. I think, was it yesterday or so, I was seeing the story of a former police officer in Niger State that is presently begging. Why? Because his pension is not even coming. Richard, that is just one story of many other individuals that are begging.
Yes.
And here the federal government is deciding to, okay, let Nigerians, let the poor breathe. They were laughing. Let Nigerians sacrifice so that they can actually sponsor your own living. That is not fair.
It's not.
And I just hope that our leaders will realize that. I mean, it's high time you do something. In the morning show, we saw where the Third Republic are calling for their own gratuity and allowances.
I mean, the Third Republic selling.
31 years after, Rachel.
Yeah,
I mean, this is really...
It's not a nice thing to hear.
So you wonder what really is our government doing? We still saw 50 billion naira going for student loan. Are we trying to say that we want to have more illiterates in Nigeria? Is that what we are saying? We're complaining about Boko Haram, and they said one of the causes of it is the fact that a lot of people are not getting educated. So definitely, if you're not being in school, somebody somewhere wants to utilize you.
And brainwashing you.
And brainwash you, and then that is why we're having the numbers increasing. So I'm just hoping that our government will realize that. I mean, a lot of things are getting bad.
A lot.
If you're telling Nigerians to drive bicycle, take the lead by riding those bicycles.
Yes.
If you're telling Nigerians that they should sacrifice, take the lead by sacrificing first. Whatever you're telling Nigerians to do, make sure that you're practicing. If you're not practicing it, you have no right whatsoever to tell Nigerians to sacrifice for you. So I'm hoping that our lawmakers, if truly they have a conscience, they have to review this. Our pensioners deserve more. Just like you said, if you're going to look at the value of our naira then and now, it's not equivalent. You can't even equivalent. You can't even say it's equal. It's not.
Yes.
Because if you are actually being paid 200,000 last year, Rachel, believe me, 200,000 will not even take you next year.
It won't.
You have family if you're married.
Your standard of living will drop automatically because the purchasing power is no longer the same again.
And we saw how inflation have affected the prices of some of our pharmaceutical drugs, Rachel. So a paracetamol of 14 naira is now 150 naira. And we know that with old age comes some illnesses. And that is what our pensioners are going through. So where do you expect them to get all of this? Because once you are a pensioner, you are no longer in the health scheme anymore. The health scheme is only meant for those who are active service.
Yes.
So what are we saying? So it's not as if the government have provided something better for our pensioners, that they have the right to cut down all of this, their costs. Well, Rachel, I just hope our government will not realize we're not here to kill them with our words.
No, Stella, we are here to make them know that they need to wake up.
They need to.
And we're not sleeping on them waking up. Like we are on their case every single day. They need to wake up because what we ask them to do is not what they can't do. They can do it. So let them do right by Nigerians, Stella.
Well, we'll keep holding them accountable, Rachel, hoping that they will wake up from their sleep if they're still sleeping. Yes. Well, thank you so much, Rachel, for doing this with me. And thank you to our viewers at home. Thank you also for those who dropped their comment on our Facebook and YouTube. Until we come tomorrow, do have a blessed day ahead.